Hello televiewers, good evening, happy new week. We are glad to have you on my Media Prime this evening. This day we are going to be looking at the passing of the traditional ruler of the Bafors, His Royal Majesty, Chief Senator Nfon V.E. Mukete, who left us 2 days back. We are going to be looking at his life and what legacy he's leaving behind as he moves on to sojourn with his ancestors. We also are going to be looking at the way the former general manager of the CRTV left us. We are talking about Professor Gervais Mendoze, asking the question whether there were possibilities for him to have been treated differently. Was it better? Was it possible? Was there need for him to have been left to die under the conditions under which we all saw? Also raising questions on our prison's conditions, not only for the VIP prisoners, but for the common man. We are going to be discussing this with our panelists who are already seated in the house. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam is in the house with us. He is a social entrepreneur and educationist par excellence, and also a politician. We are glad to have you with us, Dr. Nick. Good evening.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you again, and we have this exciting topic to discuss. But I just want to remind the whole nation about COVID-19. It is not a joking matter. Many of us... Sorry, the microphone was off.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I was speaking when the microphone was not yet switched on. And to say that we love your company. And to also remind the whole nation that COVID-19 is not a joking matter. I still see a lot of people joking with it. They think it's a joke, even educated people. And they joke around with you, that they embrace, they touch hands. Even when they're sneezing, they don't believe that it could be something more serious. Please, let's not put the lives of others at risk. And we are very thankful to the government that the Sino vaccine is come, and we hope that we'll have enough doses to go around the whole country, and I encourage everybody to go have this vaccine. Thank you very much, and to thank the minister for showing a good example. Thank you.
We are also in the company of Evis Tayon. He is the Deputy Secretary for Communication for the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, the CRM. Good evening, Evis Tayon, and welcome.
Thanks very much, Kumrat, and greetings to all those who are watching us right away. Greetings to Professor Maurice Akamto and a host of others who are currently languishing in the jail. I talk about CRM members, Olivier Bibon-Nissak, and Professor Alain Fogge, and a host of others who have been unjustly incarcerated in the Cameroon prisons as of now. Well, I think greetings also to the people of Mundemba. Of course, we will be obviously them. Certainly in the days ahead to carry out a special activity in main town Mundemba. Of course, it has to do with some of the elites who will be, of course, showing themselves present there. But then the people of Gunoko will not always be left out, Mr. Liu. You know, Gunoko is always at the top of our agenda. His Royal Majesty for Dr. Fomiki Walters and a host of others who are watching us right away live from Gunoko village. Greetings once more.
Okay, we are also in the company of Christian Jock. He is the person in charge of communication for the littoral region for the CPRN, a party led by Honorable Cabral Alibi. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. I would like to make some correction. National Secretary of Political Affairs and the spokesman of our party, the CPN.
Yeah, the spokesperson?
The spokesperson.
I thought it was the guy who worked with the LTM.
Amokol. No, he's the National Secretary of Communication.
Okay.
Of our party.
So you are the spokesperson?
The spokesperson of the party.
Spokesperson of the party is different from the communication secretary?
Yes.
Oh, I thought the spokesperson for the government is the Minister of Communication. Okay,
it's not the same thing.
You see why I had that, but it's okay. Glad to have you here. Dr. Nick, we are awaiting the arrival of Senior Barrister Shu Emmanuel. We hope he joins us in the course of our programs. Dr. Nick, we already spoke about the passing of the Archbishop Emeritus, Christian Kadinatumi, who left us.
Yeah.
The Lamido of of Garoua,
yeah.
Ali Mayatu, who left us, and today we are talking about Von V.E. Mukete. Something definitely is not right somewhere. Is there a wind of death that is blowing across Cameroon?
No, something is right. There's nothing wrong. It's, if you look at their ages, you can tell that they're on the conveyor belt, and the time is just moving on, and it's not nothing is going to stop. It's just that people have been dying, but these ones happen to be the ones that are in the limelight. So you're asking the question, what happened that the people who are in the limelight seem to be going at the same time?
Yes,
that's the question you are asking.
In a week, we saw 5 of them pass.
Yeah, yes. Of course, they have gone on, but the most important thing we should be looking at, what lessons did they leave for us, and what are we going to do, because they were not going to live forever. But the question is, what have they left?
When Christian Kadnatumi passed on, you were taken aback because you were looking up to him as a mentor, and it was a big loss for you. Is that the same impression, feelings you have for the passing of Senator Von V.E. Mukete?
You know that it depends on how far away or how close you are to someone. The pain of death depends on how close or how far away you know. I mean, from Victor Mukete, I've only seen pictures of him on TV and so on, and the closest I came to him was during the major national dialogue, when he was on the floor talking about the relationship between West Cameroon and the East Cameroon, and the relationship between Northwest and Southwest. Something that I didn't like.
Okay, I will call you a Kumba man. What are the echoes you are getting from Kumba?
Well, obviously, you know, when a man of that caliber passes on, it must be the talk of the day. I think Kumba received that news with in total shock. You know, why I say we received the news in Kumba, it was more of a shock because it's not like he was sick before. You know, he recently conducted elections at the Senate, which was not, he didn't show some signs of like he was really very sick that he could pass so soon. It's true his age is that which is normal for anybody at that age to pass on when time comes, but the manner in which it happened, because it's different from somebody whom you hear that has been sick for some time and then out of a sudden you hear that the person is no more. But his own was a little bit surprised, since as he was active during the elections of members of the Senate, and then equally took part at the opening session and all the like. So it was quite a surprising aspect. Now, for the people in Kumba, we have, you know, we have both, we have different versions. As I said, you know, when something occurs, first thing I would be able to be honest with you, is that we feel so sad that we have lost a state man. He was one of the persons who was struggling to put Kumba and the Baforce people under the aspect of unity. Even though the time he decided to hand over the throne while still alive to his son was another surprise that came into the people of Kumba and the Baforce. But I think as time went on, we were able to contend with that, since as the person who also took over was also a level-headed. I think we understand that the person started by what we call monthly prayers at the palace, which had never happened in the history of the Bafor Palace, so to say. Every beginning of every month, there is a special crusade that takes place in the palace, Operation Keep Kumba for Jesus, which was quite very good. And then, but now, with his passing away, many have not been very comfortable for the fact that he left without taking the journey of fighting for the those in East Cameroon to the end. Is it West Cameroon rather? East and West Cameroon. That's the English-speaking part of the country. You understand that one of his memories that keeps the people in Kumba is at the time when he was fighting heavily for bilingualism to be put in place. I remember one of the time when we had the then SDO Kubud Aman David, when he was making a speech, one of the 20th May. We only realized that Von V. Mukete got up, spoke angrily, and left while the event was still going on. And to him was, how could an address of that magnitude be presented in French when we are in the English-speaking part of the country? I think those are some of the things that we get very sad hearing, that he has really gone to the world beyond. We forever miss him. But then, you know that people always take the delights of only mentioning positive aspects of people who have gone. Sometimes they shy away. But if you are alive today, Mr. Leo, Dr. Nick is there, people will tell you Dr. Nick is this way, he's good, he's bad. But the moment Taeyong is no longer, you only hear he was a good boy. No, Taeyong cannot be good throughout. He has bad aspects that won't be mentioned if he's not alive. That is the aspect of objectivity for the dead, which we have failed to, probably because of our African context. we think that we should give respect to the dead, so we should bury the negative part of it. But I think that all in all, in Cape Town itself, where we are, some who thought that he started a good fight, some think that the fight was not taken to the end.
When you say he did not take it to the end, what end?
Yeah. Now, when we say what end is, for example, when the Anglophone crisis was at its peak, I said earlier he had been at the forefront of castigating administrative officials in Kumba itself, who have always been heavy handling things, either marginalizing the people in Kumba, the Anglophones, in one way or the other. Now, the people in Kumba, I'm talking from what I get on the ground, another aspect is that they think that probably at the time of this crisis, he would have been able to take the Senate hostage to ensure that the Anglophone crisis is brought on. But we know that there was one time that he brought it up. He spoke there. At that time, Senator Kmer also spoke. But then many people still think that he would have, as an eldest member, was a lot of respect, would have been able to hold the Senate to task for the Anglophone crisis to be discussed. So that's where you see people have some kind of mixed feelings. I'm talking on what is on the ground as I speak now.
Yeah, but you see, not also not only him. Many of the such persons not taken in a fixed, are they not confused? Because you say he should take up the Anglophone course, but there are Anglophones who think that there is an Anglophone problem, but not necessarily the separatist move, which some persons would say he is disappointing because he did not take that course.
Well, I am looking at the Anglophone course first.
Yeah.
Now, when I say Anglophone course, it simply means that you understand that the crisis has been going on. And apart from the historical setting of the crisis, which for Mukete lived as a living encyclopedia for it, we understand that one of the issues has to do with marginalization, which means that many in Kumba, I am saying this because I've been on the ground,
but
thinking that
my question stands. Yeah. How do you take it to an end when people say we want separation, and maybe you think that there is an Anglophone problem and you cannot help the situation, because whatever you do, those who are for separation would say you have not taken the fight to a definite end?
Well, that might be left for those who are on that direction. I'm looking at it that, from what I get on the ground, that making the issue to be discussed is not necessarily separation. Okay. Bringing the topic on the platform of the Senate, which he has what it takes because he has weight. I will be honest with you. If you compare him with, in Senate, just like in Parliament, there are senators and there are parliamentarians. There are some that, because of their portfolio, that is deep-rooted in the history of Cameroon, when they make certain moves, it has more weight than probably some other persons, even though all are called parliamentarians and all are called senators.
Okay. We also are in the company of Christian. Christian, quelle a été la lecture? Qu'est-ce que vous avez fait du décès du Nfon, Vie et Mukete?
Oui, effectivement, quand on a appris son décès, en cette période de crise anglophone, on s'est dit, voilà une mémoire vivante de l'histoire du Cameroun qui part. Personnellement, comme chercheur, j'ai lu le livre du Fon Mukete,
My Odyssey.
Et c'est à partir de ce livre où j'ai compris effectivement le problème fondamental que nous connaissons aujourd'hui. Et j'ai compris les réminiscences, notamment la date du 4 mars 1916. C'est dans ce livre que je l'ai compris autant pour moi. Donc pour dire, c'était une bibliothèque. On a peut-être le sentiment de passer un mauvais temps au Cameroun après le cardinal Christian Toumi, que ce soit lui encore qui parte. Voilà deux symboles, deux images fortes, deux icônes de la réunification du Cameroun, de la période des indépendances du Cameroun, qui partent malheureusement à un moment où cette alliance est remise en question. Et on a, comme je vais m'aligner avec Elvis, effectivement, on a comme l'impression qu'ils vont, sans que la chose soit effectivement élucidée, sans qu'ils puissent effectivement clarifier la question, sans qu'ils puissent nous donner effectivement un positionnement à adopter. C'est vrai qu'on l'a suivi quelquefois au Sénat, du haut de son âge déjà fatigué. Il aurait pu effectivement impacter, je l'ai suivi une fois. Je sais qu'il était un chantre du fédéralisme, mais il n'y avait pas une relation effectivement avec les nôtres, avec la nouvelle génération, pour comprendre effectivement qu'est-ce qu'on va en faire de cet héritage. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, on a comme l'impression que après eux, aujourd'hui, il y a comme une coupure. Cet héritage va dans l'eau. Parce que, qu'on le veuille ou pas, Fon Mukete, avocat de son État, a été, n'est-ce pas, ceux qui ont effectivement bagarré pour la réunification des deux Cameroun, et notamment, n'est-ce pas, le rattachement au Cameroun dit francophone. Donc, c'est quelqu'un pour qui, pour tout enfant, pour tout Camerounais qui a un peu étudié l'histoire, on ne peut que, n'est-ce pas, s'incliner devant sa mémoire. Et que personne, n'a entendu son nom dans les histoires de corruption ou dans les histoires de quoi que ce soit. Il n'a pas été proche, donc c'est quelqu'un qui est resté un homme intègre. Mais seulement cette intégrité, on aura voulu, on aura souhaité qu'il transmette ça à des générations futures. Parce qu'à date, on ne pouvait pas quand même avoir des témoins privilégiés de l'histoire du Cameroun, comme lui, comme le cardinal Christian Toumi, et qu'aujourd'hui, on ait ce genre de problème et qu'eux, ils n'aient pas réussi à solver cette crise avant de partir. C'est un peu le goût amer qu'on a effectivement dans cette question, mais nous nous inclinons. Voyez-vous, du haut de sa longue expérience, de sa longue vie, nous aimerions vivre aussi 103 ans comme lui, être témoin des changements de l'histoire du pays, être témoin de quand on espère que c'est déjà le président Kaba Libi au pouvoir, changer, n'est-ce pas, cette question, imposer effectivement le fédéralisme communautaire, docteur, qui est notre forme d'État, parce que qu'on le veuille ou pas, je dis bien, là où il décède avec un pincement au cœur. Et j'espère que le président de la République va comprendre que voilà 2 de ses conseillers incompris qui partent en moins d'une semaine. Et 2 de ces conseillers, c'est-à-dire que 2 figures centrales, notamment le cardinal Christian Toumi et Nfon Mukete, et que le président lui-même va se raviser. À date, c'est des gens de sa génération, c'est des gens avec lesquels il a bossé, et que définitivement, il va prendre à bras le corps cette crise et qu'on sorte enfin de cette problématique, disons, même si nous on sait que lui ne peut plus rien, parce que lui il est dépassé, c'est quelqu'un d'autre, c'est nous qui allons résoudre la crise, parce qu'aujourd'hui il faut être vraiment franc, il faut dire aux gens que cette bagarre historique dans laquelle on est resté, ce marqueur historique, la langue francophone, anglophone, alors que nous dans la communauté Sawa, en ce moment, on est en train de faire le deuil que notre grand patriarche est parti. Donc vous voyez un peu, c'est ce genre de choses qu'on dit, il faut changer, et que les vieux qui sont encore présentement au pouvoir, qui sont là depuis 60 ans, comprennent qu'on est en train d'aller effectivement vers la transition générationnelle, peut-être naturelle. Laisse-moi aller au fond. Peut-être le président, oui, en une seconde, pour dire effectivement, oui, en une seconde pour dire effectivement peut-être la transition nationale, générationnelle que le président convoquait, on est là dans la transition naturelle. Okay. Donc vraiment que les autres comprennent qu'il est temps de faire leur mémoire et que nous autres, la jeune génération, on puisse, n'est-ce pas, en bénéficier.
Yeah, cue to what he's saying, Dr. Nick.
Yes.
Is this a signal that those who have something to give, something to offer, should be made maximum use of, because within the space of a week, Christian Kainatumi is gone, from V.E. Mukete is gone, and we know very, very well what they stand with respect to, their significance with respect to the ongoing Anglophone puzzle.
Yes, they are gone, but they are not dead. They are gone, but they are not dead. They are still very much alive, and it is those ideas that they were, selling to the nation, that they were speaking to us. They live on, and for people like us who are disciples of the cardinal, who will stick to what he was preaching, and then will push that agenda. And so they are dead but not dead, so the spirit lives on, the ideas live on, so there's no need to be afraid. Now the other thing I wanted to tell my friend here is that Christian is that he thinks the problem will not be solved. Like I've said before, President Paul Biya is going to organize a new dialogue, and there's going to be reconciliation, and there's going to be unity in the nation before long. So that is not for debate. I'm just giving you as information, and just to cue, especially to those our friends listening to us from the diaspora, and the senior barrister Ashu, who had this something for dialogue. What is it? Yes,
Coalition for Dialogue.
Yeah, Coalition for Dialogue. You see, in the spirit of that, their paper was to force the international community to do something at this end, and then to say this is what we want done and so on. But I would say that they are selling after the market, in the sense that they are closing the stables when the horse has already left. So the progress or the process or whatever is way beyond where they are.
Yeah, we are going to be coming back on that on Wednesday.
I just wanted to say it so that
we are coming back on it on Wednesday. But Dr. Nick, some persons think that, like he was saying, that from V.E. Mukete, some persons have written did not do enough to end the Anglophone crisis. What did they expect him to do?
Yes,
he was just an individual.
No, he was an individual. He was an individual, but an individual in a special category like the cardinal, you know, Pali Tumbe, all of them. They had their status, Pa Jongo Foncha. This is it. You remember we were arguing, I think it might be on our WhatsApp page or some other WhatsApp page, where you saw Pa Mukete, you know, bowing copiously to the president of the
Senate president.
Yes, and you remember I was very violent and very angry about that, because you see, Pa Mukete carries on him the weight of all Anglophones. He carries on with him the weight of Anglophones. He carries on him the pride of Anglophones. He carries on that aura, and it is that aura that gives him strength. So when you go and then you bend in front of someone much younger than you, and because he's an appointed president, and besides, Pa Mukete, besides his age, is more educated, and number three, he's a paramount fund, and many other things. And when you bow like that, then you put us at the feet of those people, and they'll crush us. So it's a symbolic kind of thing, and you have to stand tall and to say that it's very, very important what you do, especially when you're of a certain status. Realize that you carry on you the weight of a people. And another person who misbehaved sometimes back, you remember when Pa Musonge was the prime minister? When Pa Musonge was the prime minister and His Excellency President Paul Biya was coming from abroad, they went to the airport, Simalen Airport, to receive the president. And at that time, Mr. Beluk Rene was in charge of the police force. And Pa Musonge also bowed in that manner. He really bowed like the Bidung Pak kind of thing. And then what I admired very much was the style of Mr. Beluk Rene. He was dressed in his nice suit. He came and then just nodded a little bit. You know, he just bowed a little bit, gave the president a handshake, then stood at attention and was looking straight into the president's face like a gentleman. You see, it is that kind of thing. You see, and relatively in terms of protocol, Beluk Rene was very far junior to Musonge. When Musonge comes and bows and is almost licking the earth, when you do that, you kill Anglophones. And it is that attitude. When those SDOs and DOs see it like that, and many other Francophones, they think that we should all be crushed, and that's why we are suffering. And to say that the Anglophone problem is a question of truth and love, and if we were just to solve the problem, it would not even take 2 weeks to solve it if we were to do what is right.
Okay, let's take a listen to that outing that took the nation by storm by the fallen Senator from V.E. Mukete out there at the Senate.
Producing an English edition of the Tribune. What do you think we mean? Are we mad? Please don't do it. These are some of the things which have driven some people against the wall to go and take guns. You are not honest. We are not honest. We don't mean that. We should think about it. If you don't want to present some of these journals of information in the language which I can read, then you don't want me in the country. Then you don't want me. When I say it, I mean it. I'm crying. I'm crying. I think it's very wrong that we should continue like with this thing in this country. People, when you do it and you ignore this question of language for the two English divisions, what do you think you are making them to feel? What do you think? People will not tell you honestly. Then you regard them as inferior. Why should you not present the information to them in a way that they can understand? When the elections are to take place, we take the trouble to produce material in languages which will be understood. We send things to the various people so that they can support us. That is the same thing. Why is it that we have to beg for a journal containing the good work of the government? We should beg that it should be also in English. Why should we beg? It's not even in the interest of the government that this type of policy should go on. It is wrong. When we unified, The Tribune was produced in English and French. What is there? What is the difference? What is the trouble in our country? English Cameroon and French Cameroon. The only difference is the language. The only difference in language is French and English. But somebody came later on and took his gun, his revolver, and shot at the English, killed the English. That was what I call a mortal shot. A shot against the unification of this country. The unification of this country is made of two languages, and somebody will come and say, no, because of money, let us kill the English. That was the beginning of trouble. And that is what we're sowing a seed, which was germinating to cause the trouble we're having today. It's wrong. It's wrong of us to have done that type of thing. And we swallow and we think it's not nonsense. I mean business. I mean it, and I fought for the unification of the country. It was wrong. English and French take together. Then you come and cut and you use it, you move English. What were you doing? Just kicking against the very foundation of this country. And that is what it was from. Now we've got a point where we are to mend. Shall we mend or mar? As Fondlong would say. We are in a position. We are in the position to ask ourselves. Shall we make or mar? Shall we fix or spoil? It is in this is all of us here. We're in a position. We are in a position to make. We are in a position to correct errors of the past. Now we have made errors which have nearly destroyed our country. I'm saying that. Victor Mukete is saying that. You can quote me. All of you, those of you who have not read my book, get copies and read and understand what I mean. We have almost destroyed our country, but fortunately, we have taken this decision to create these regions. Please, let us make the mistake. Let us not make the mistake of making serious errors in the creation of regions. The regions should be properly created as units to enable each region to function. If I don't want to, they should be radio. These regions should be able to run the radio services, the educational services, the health services, and so on. They should be able to do that. Oh, small countries, which are only perhaps 200,000, they are running governments and running the services. Many companies, very tiny companies, all our regions are big and rewarded with resources. The records show there that our regions are, all of them have enormous resources. We don't think only of the southwest region of petroleum. Regions of this country are endowed enormously. Their records, perhaps they are confidential, but I'm saying it with confidence that all regions of Cameroon are enormously endowed. If you can only develop these places, and in fact, we talk of agricultural development, what have we done? Where is the Green Revolution? Germany had not only Cameroon as a colony, Morocco was under Germany, Tanganyika, and Southwest Africa. These were all German territories. When after the First World War, we were at the same level almost. Well, that's all territories. I think Morocco and some other, we were almost at the same territory, German territories, but where are we today? Others have gone ahead. What are they? They perhaps don't even have more better resources, but we have lagged behind. And we talk of Green Revolution. The Green Revolution can do wonders. The Green Revolution can do wonders. Where are you? Where are you going to? Why have you not got a green revolution? I have been to the place where we make tractors. Is it a Beloa? Mighty, the smallest tractor, there is 60 horsepower. Mighty big issue. Those they have a place in this country. But a mistake was made that they did not make small tractors which would be useful for family farms. Those 60 horsepower tractors will not go to some 80% of your families by small farmers. Where is the mechanization for them? A lot of stuff. We need mechanization, small tractors, small planters, small trailers. Because if you give money to a small farm and get help with fertilizer to fertilize, that family farm, if it's well done, the produce which it produce with the use of fertilizers will so much that, in fact, it will be faced with what we call a problem. How will you get that produce out of the farm to the house? The tractor will. The trailer, 7-ton trailer cannot get there. You need a 5-ton trailer, a small tractor. Where we live in, these are things, if the planning is done, and there's a green revolution done properly.
Okay, that was Chief Senator V.E. Mukete from V.E. Mukete. It's no more. Quite a strong outing there at the Senate. One would not believe that this happens at the Senate because you wonder what they do there. But he raised a lot of issues. Senior Barrister, who is just joining us, he laments on the fact that English and French are supposed to be of equal status, but that some efforts have consistently been made to marginalize or pull down the English language, and he was stressing that this was the time to either make or want the nation.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Good evening, fellow panelists, Mr. Dr. Ghanim, Cameroon, fellow our dear televiewers. With all due respect to a patriot, nationalist, patriarch, fallen hero. In fact, from what we just heard of Chief, you see, those who knew him know that that was Chief Mukete. In fact, he was a man of substance, a man who always stood his grounds. Well, as I just said, he's a fallen nationalist. You can hear, I mean, as a pioneer of the Cameroon state, he was lambasting those who tried to downgrade the Anglophones and give them some role which is not theirs. And well, he was sounding a note of warning to those people who think that they have some iota of superiority over Anglophones. See, you are planting the seed of decadence of the state, and you have made yourselves to blame it if it happens. But rightly, it happened in his lifetime, because the crisis broke out in his lifetime, and we all saw the fight, the strong fight he put. Well, I think, was he the last man standing? We were informed that there was one Secretary of State who is still alive. I just have forgot the name, but my friends on the CDN will help me to find him. I think that there's one of the Secretary of States who is still alive, and happily so is still in the country. I will let you know when he's located. So certainly he was not the last. He is not the last man standing. Of that generation. There's still a few. Well, two just went. He would have been one of those who are still standing. But I think that there's still a few of them still that left.
Yes, Doctor.
I think, if you have a few of them who are left and we don't even know them, then they are not useful. Because, I mean, you've been there, the country is burning, and then you're saying nothing, you're not telling us the way. I mean, so we are interested in...
We heard from Kadnatumi.
Yes.
And then we'll also hear from him.
Yes.
I remember that he tried to organize the chiefs
yes, that's right.
to come together in Kumba, though that meeting was banned by the governor of the Southwest region.
That's right.
But who else?
The most important thing is to be active and to be seen to be solving problems, and be solving problems. Even if you don't succeed, do the best you can with the little you have where you are. And then in so doing, at least people see the burning fire, and people see, they understand where they have to go. But if you think you are useful and you are hiding in some small corner, you're not.
The kangaroo man, we have destroyed our country. That is what the Senator from V.E. Mukete was saying. That is in the Senate. He says we have destroyed our country.
Yes, I listened to him carefully. If he says we, it's because it is a game plan put in place by Yaoundé regime and the Anglophone elites combined. So, when you look at it, if the others from the French-speaking part of the country are doing their own part of assimilation, it becomes worst when those from the English-speaking part are accomplices to the crime. So, I think he's very right to say we, because that is the context under which that statement is operating. And I said earlier that he has lamented on these ills, and we know that this is somebody who helped to put in place a plantation that quite helped in employing so many persons. You could see how he's lambasting on the tractors. Obviously, they are still there in the bush and Ebola. Some elites took them to their own private farms, as they are. That is the system of the kangaroo people over there in Yaoundé. They know. And so these are examples of ill-intentioned persons that Senator V. Mukete is just exposing. And I have told people that Cameroon does not have that culture of resigning. The culture is not really in them, apart from one elite sometime who resigned from the far north region, which was an exceptional case. Because if I were from V. Mukete, I should have left that house called Senate. I should have left the house, because there are two things: you take the house hostage, or you say so and quit. Because the guys are very stubborn. The irony behind the whole show is that the regime in Yaoundé, alongside with the CBDA, pretend to be those who are fostering development in the country, whereas they are the number one persons who are taking us backwards. Look at an anecdote put in place by Prof. Mukete, giving an example of countries that were colonized by the Germans. Far gone, Tanganyika and the rest. And we are here, still lagging behind. And we have elites who blow grammar from morning to night. And nothing is changing. And they tell us that they are for us. No, it doesn't move like that. So I think that if we walk within the sphere of his statement, which was a succinct one, even though no matter how you give a statement succinct, Yaoundé regime has its own agenda. They will always laugh at you and say that you are just singing a song. If you get that video to the end, in the video when I had it at the time it came out, I was more concerned with the reaction of those who were there. Even the government ministers were laughing and discussing among themselves. If you get to that video to the end, when I watched the video when it came out, I was more concerned with the reaction. I realized that even amongst them, the probability is that, let's be parallel. That is the kangaroo system in Yaoundé. And so from those kind of reactions, what good can come from a kangaroo system? Senators who are there, parliamentarians, this is an idea raised by Prof. Mukete. Yet the subject of the Anglophone crisis was not even mentioned in the, has never been mentioned in the agenda till now that we speak. Of recent, Mr. Leo, they had an agenda, extraordinary discussions about COVID-19, but the crisis has never been part and parcel of it. Do you see how I say people are evil to the first order?
Okay.
See where we are.
Monsieur Christian Jock, vous l'avez suivi, il a relevé beaucoup de choses, et c'est pas cette année, ça fait je crois 2 ans qu'il a fait ce discours au Sénat. pourquoi est-ce que, ou avez-vous l'impression que certaines choses ont changé? Est-ce que les gens avaient pris note et qu'ils ont changé certains?
Non, effectivement, vous n'attendez pas le contraire de moi.
Okay.
Ce qu'on pourrait qualifier des mémoires publiques, n'est-ce pas, du Nfon Mukete, parce que parler de cette façon, sortir cela de cette tripe, vous voyez, à un moment donné, c'est comme s'il voulait pleurer, se reconnaissant lui-même comme un témoin de cette histoire, un témoin de cette destruction, parce que quand il convoquait, oui, que lui-même faisait un nous inclusif, se reconnaissant effectivement dans cette destruction du Cameroun. C'est pour cela que nous on s'est dit qu'il a servi ce régime qui a mis ce pays en débandade. Et il est autant comptable que les autres. C'est une confession en fait qu'il faisait. Cette confession publique est vraiment à saluer, c'est à garder dans les annales de la République. Mais qu'est-ce qui a donc changé? Rien jusqu'à présent. Vous avez suivi tout à l'heure, le docteur me rassurer que non, il y a un prochain comment dirais-je, un prochain grand dialogue à venir. Si vous l'avez refusé au cardinal Toumi, si vous l'avez refusé au Nfon Mukete, vous l'allez le faire avec qui? Parce que voilà les témoins de l'histoire, ceux qui ont vécu effectivement ce moment important de l'histoire du Cameroun, ce moment de rattachement, c'est-à-dire ce moment de reprise en compte des deux parties, de la rive droite du Mongo et de la rive gauche, qui sont en train de partir, qui sont fâchés. Qu'est-ce que vous allez faire? Comment allez-vous, ces gouvernants et des PCs, comment allez-vous faire pour laver la mémoire de ces gens qui sont allés fâchés? C'est une question fondamentale. Rien n'a changé à date.
Vous avez l'impression qu'ils sont fâchés, hein?
Oui, mais quand vous voyez le courroux avec lequel le sénateur parlait, c'est-à-dire ça faisait mal du haut de son âge. À l'époque, il avait 100 ans. C'est-à-dire il avait un âge rond. Vous dites, enough, if enough. Il faut trouver des solutions. C'est vrai que la question peut se dire, après avoir bavardé comme il a bavardé, c'est la question qu'on a dit tout à l'heure. Vous avez vu le ministre des Santé, quand il était assis, on disait que bon voilà, faites ton one-man show. Une fois qu'il a fini son one-man show, on peut le dire comme ça, sous respect de son âge, effectivement, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? Rien. Blackout total. On est revenu le lendemain à la même solution. Le gouvernement camerounais tout était autiste, ne comprend rien. C'est-à-dire, il s'en fout de tout ce qu'on peut demander. C'est pourquoi nous, on a demandé, nous, on avait proposé, après avoir suivi son discours. C'est de son discours, de discussion avec lui, que nous en sommes venus à comprendre effectivement le problème fondamental. Et comprendre que le problème qui se posait est un problème identitaire.
Vous êtes allé le voir?
Oui, est un problème culturel. On a quelquefois discuté, pas moi personnellement, mais le président national. Okay. On en a échangé, on a discuté, on a compris effectivement. C'est-à-dire, c'est une bibliothèque qui est partie. C'est là où on a compris effectivement la question, la problématique qui se pose, qui est celle de l'identité nationale souveraine. Parce que là, effectivement, il a posé un autre problème entre French, donc entre l'anglais et le français, qui sont deux langues coloniales. On devrait revenir effectivement à nos racines, à nos cultures, et pouvoir peut-être adopter une langue nationale à laquelle on se comprendrait facilement. Ça permettrait de passer notre culture, de se retrouver. Mais je le dis encore, ce gouvernement, s'ils ont encore un peu un brin de sincérité ou de respect de la population, doivent comprendre que quand on perd un monsieur comme celui-là, un témoin de l'histoire, et je vous ai dit ici, pour moi, lui et le cardinal Christian Toumi étaient deux conseillers incompris du président de la République. Parce que chaque fois, il donnait toujours des conseils au président de la République. Voici ce qu'il faut faire, voici ce qu'il faut faire. Et le président est resté enclaustré dans son environnement, ne comprenait pas ses congénères qui sont partis, malheureusement, à l'espace d'une semaine, tous fâchés, il faut le dire. Donc, à date, qu'est-ce qui a changé? Rien n'a changé. C'est pas que nous, au Parti Cameroun pour la réconciliation nationale, on vous dit effectivement que ce gouvernement ne peut rien faire. C'est terminé pour eux. Il faut qu'on passe à autre chose, effectivement.
Ok. Now, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, you have heard him say that there is need. He was already raising an alarm to the probable, at the time he was talking, creation of regions. He said that the region should be properly created like what we have today, and he raised the facts, insisted that each region could very well manage itself given the resources available to these regions compared with other countries that are far smaller than what we have in Cameroon as regions.
Yeah, he was right, and then I think he borrowed a leaf from me there, except that when he's talking about regions, I have to resituate it in the context of my confederation or federation, you know, so that the way we were supposed to do it and solve the question of the form of state, especially at the major national dialogue, was to create West Cameroon as it was, create East Cameroon. Then now, this current decentralization that we have, then we would have taken the decentralization now into the state of West Cameroon and also into the state of East Cameroon. So it will be a two-level breakup of the country. First into the two big components, West Cameroon and East Cameroon, and then you now break the East Cameroon into 8 units and the West Cameroon into 2 nice functional units. And then you also make sure that you give them power, you give them the financial autonomy, and you give them a lot of things in good faith so that they function. And then we make sure that whether we still call them district officers, senior divisional officers, or governors, that these people are elected and not appointed. And make a simple structure that works, and the country will work. But the way it is now, even what we call decentralization, you still have a lot of appointed people, breathing down the throats of people. Like I followed on one of of your programs here, that was on Sunday, where one of the lawyers was complaining about the regional office in Boya that has an empty hall with no chair in it, and then they don't even have the capacity to help themselves, and they have to wait for a contract to be given from Yaoundé. So if you're going to be in charge of a region, and yet to do a little thing in your own office, to get a bench for your office, instructions have to come from Yaoundé, the thing has to come from Yaoundé, then it's self-defeating. So when Mukete was saying it should be properly done, it was in the light of do things effectively, in truth and in love. Because like I have challenged, I think it's Tayong sometimes on, if it's not Tayong, it's a friend of his, on WhatsApp. I said, Tayong, give me 2 areas in which we show excellence in Cameroon. Now, you remember Tayong? And then after that we just babble, and then we go into beer, and that's not, I mean, we are looking for areas of excellence positively. That is the problem. We are not used to excellence. We are not used to solving problems. We are not used to doing things once and for all. We keep beating around the bush, and it's a huge problem.
Okay, it is a huge problem. We are going to take a listen to Tiku Felix from Boya react to the passing of Senator Nfon V.E. Mukete.
Mr. Leo, good evening, and good evening to the entire panel. Good evening to everyone, all televiewers. Well, Mr. Leo, I want to say the death of late grandpa, the late senator and paramount ruler of the Bafor people, that's Honorable Chief Victor Mukete, was not a surprise to me considering his age. Pa lived 124 years. November was supposed to make him 103 years. He lived a very good life and died at a very good old age. Pa was no doubt a great man. Before his demise, he was actually the eldest member of the Senate. The late Chief Victor Mukete was a kind of an all-round man, let me put it this way. Well-educated, benefited from government scholarship, among the privileged few to have studied abroad at that time. You can imagine. He went to the University of Manchester, as well as the Cambridge University in Britain, and others, if I'm not mistaken. Pa served as a Minister of Research and Information in Nigeria before the reunification of Cameroon with the French Cameroon. That's from 1958 to that's close to 1960. He had gathered so much knowledge and had lived so much experience, had so much experience that he had been turned into a national archive. Great political leaders visited him. Big government officials visited him. Diplomats visited him just to gain knowledge and facts concerning certain national and international issues. Now, going back to some of the things he did, Chief Mukete, from history, Chief Mukete first became chairman of the Cameroon Development Corporation, that's CDC, from 1960 to 1982. and was sworn into the Cameroon National Assembly as a judge of the Court of Impeachment. He later became a member of the Economic and Social Council, vice president of the Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, Mines, Industry and Craft, and is now, before his death, was the honorary president. Even at the age of 100 years, Chief Mukete was still very, very influential. Mr. Leo, Chief Senator Victor Mukete was a man full of wisdom. That's why he left behind a very organized and a very fulfilled family, such that even when he handed power to his last son, no chaos or even the least of noise was heard. He has contributed a lot to this country's economy, employing millions in so many different sectors. He was one of the highest, if not the highest, individual employee in the country, and did his deed through his 60% shares with the MTN. He shares with the Camtel. He owned the Spectrum TV, owns the Boom TV, United Bank, and the Mukete group of plantations that deals with rubber, palms, and cocoa. With this.
Okay, that was Tiku Felix there from Boya trying to relate to us who the fallen hero was. We hope that others are going to learn from him. We are trying to battle with time to be able to go through this. Senior barrister, you have listened there to him speak about what was not going right with this nation. Tiku Felix said that severally he has received state personalities and a host of others coming to him to get advice. He himself has said, we have done this, we have not done this. Why? Seemingly from what was gathered from him, nobody implemented what came out of him.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. You see, personally, I have some feeling of dissatisfaction with Senator Mukete's output.
Okay.
Because having been one of the personalities who saw Southern Cameroon through from 1954 right up to 1972, I would have expected him to tell the true story. In fact, we have suffered and struggled for a long time before we have come now to know our true history. This is somebody who was educated enough, knowledgeable enough, experienced enough, and had all the truth with him, but he decided not to tell us.
Have you read his book?
Sir,
is he telling a lie?
I have gone into his book. I went into Google to see his book there. I couldn't see the book itself, but I got the commentaries of it. But the fact still remains that he is not the one who told us that Southern Cameroon had a constitution. He's not the one. He is not the one who told us that West Cameroon was the creation of the assembly of East Cameroon, of Cameroon, the Republic of Cameroon. Southern Cameroon had nothing to do with the creation of West Cameroon. He never told us all that. He has never told us what actually happened in Fuman. We know from other sources that Fuman conference lasted 45 minutes. But when you read this book, he tells you of the decisions taken at Fuman. Fuman, there was no decision taken. There was a speech that was made by Ajo, closing speech. There was no decision taken. You see, so I personally feel that this is a library that has gone under the ground with all the information that he would have given us. Because he would have given credence to all what we seek and all what he knew. He would have given us that information.
What he was raising there is not truth?
With all due respect, sir, most of the things my brother was raising gave me some shiver, because back there on ground zero, when you talk to the people of Kumba, well, the first thing they tell you is that he was a paramount chief who cared only for his children. He helped no foreman. Correct me, please. Those who are listening, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, but
they say he helped no performance. He helped only his children and positioned them. Number 2.
Yeah, but he created job opportunities.
Thank you. Thank you.
For thousands of persons now.
Thank you. Others say that he sees the when he was chairman of CDC, his brother, his late brother John Mukete, who died in 1968, owned plantations owned land in Mato and I think Ebuji. And that when he was board chair of CDC, he seized those lands and created his plantations. And that up to today, he was in court with the children of his late brother. I think it was Friday last week before going to. It was last week. I don't know. I've forgotten the day. He died. He left court before death came his way. So you see, I don't really agree because I don't agree. Like the speaker was saying, he is owner of this. No, please. His children own. His children own most of those things I heard him citing. So we should not create confusion. His children own shares here, own this company, own that way. It was not his property. It was his children's property. Well, he had his own, but we should not take his children's property and give him. With all the respect we owe him, I think that.
What were you expecting, Chief? We're talking about Nfon VE Mukete to have done to meet your expectation.
Okay. I would have expected him to do like his father, like his late father before him. You see, when you go down to our history, you see that Kumba was not existing on the map that Zingraf made. When the British came, it was his father who forced the government, because there was Kake and there was Barombi. There was no Kumba. Those were the towns where existed, Kake and Barombi. It was his father who forced the British to recognize Kumba as a town, to turn Kumba into a town. And Kumba finally now swallowed Barombi and Kake. You see? But when you ask, if you look at his own heritage, what has he left for the Kumba people? Nothing. Nothing. Just nothing. You see, his father was more useful because he transformed, he created Kumba. The big city we see now is his father's work. But he has not done anything for the Bafo people who are instead being marginalized in Kumba by. I hope that doesn't spark up trouble.
No, just a bit marginalized, it's all right.
It doesn't be like that because it will spark trouble there. Well, there are other people there who are causing Bafo people to be in trouble in Kumba. So you know them. Let me not call them.
I don't know.
No, please. I think we should.
I don't know who is causing trouble in Kumba, but I don't know whether the Bafo people will buy into what you are saying here. I struggle to get some persons from Kumba to be here today so that they speak for themselves, and those I contacted said they could not move to Douala because of the ghost town out there. We hope that before the burial takes place, we have opportunity to have people from Kumba tell their story. But the kangaroo man, we are looking at what is the impact of Senator V.E. Mukete at the level of the Senate? Do you think that because as he was the dean of the Senate, do you think that he caused any impact as dean of the Senate to touch on the lives of the people of the Southwest region, so Anglophones or Cameroonians as a whole? Or he just passed through the Senate?
Well, I will be honest with you. You know, like queuing from where Barrister is talking, before landing in the equation. You know, I've been in Kumba, and I entered Kumba at the time when we had several cases. We had the case of lawyer SMA and other like. You have the issue of Nokombele and Prince Mukete. It's always tussle. That one, I have to be honest with you. And some of us who were reporting the case, who were reported that time as young journalists who just left school, we're always caught in between, you know. It was quite very rough. That sometimes the people could relay us. One come and say, why did you report this? Another can relay you. I think many of us really suffered. For those who are in Kumba, they will understand the hurdles we went through, reporting that particular situation, which dragged on at the court for quite a long time. Like the issue of who is the mayor of Kumba 1 council, who has to be at the city council, you know, just within the Bafos themselves. It had been quite always a power toss. I don't want to get into that. Now, getting back to the issue of the impact. Now, you know, when you have a kangaroo system, the kangaroo system is built in a way that all things leave the A to D, and comes down on instructions. That's the issue of one-party system. I've been telling people that when you see any bill coming forth, either at the Senate or the National Assembly, it is a bill from A to D that must go through, whether you like it or not. If you have a situation whereby you have 30 persons voted under mafia system, 70 persons, senators, voted under mafia, and then 30 appointed by the head of state, would you expect the head of state to appoint these 30 from your own party? No. They're most members of the ruling party. So when they come the 30, they just need about 21 to add to give you 51. The majority is already established at the Senate. So as far as the impact is concerned, he made an outstanding outing, which we have seen there. But after that, nothing. And the question we're asking is, upon all what he said, was anything taken into consideration? No. Why? Because the system has been carved in a dictatorial manner to suit the whims and caprices of the executive. Finished. I have told people, in my own thinking, the Senate has no use. In fact, the Senate is wasting state budget as I speak. Because if the National Assembly itself cannot deliver as per se, then you put in place the Senate. That is budget being wasted for no good reason. You they hear me very well. I am telling you, senators, I'm sorry for saying so, but it's the truth. You have no use as of now. I am sorry to say that too. So don't be a senator without portfolio, because the portfolio does not hold. Now, Senator V. Mukete spoke well. The question now is to let you know that he was straight out of the deck's back. I said you can go on Google's YouTube and look for that video. Watch the way the government officials were commenting as the statement was going on. It will tell you, just like my brother from PSR was quite saying, it was more of a one-man show. That, well, he was acting like what you call drama. And so in the course of that, after he finished that, things went worst. The one commission of bilingualism, of nothing to write home. In fact, that one is another farce of the first order. After that one again, reconstruction came in again. All these things cosmetic means that what the statement said while he was in the Senate meant nothing to them. Mr. Leo, if you are hoping anything good, I got Dr. Nick just said a while ago that another dialogue is coming by the head of state. Any Cameroonian, if you think that Yaoundé can solve this crisis as of now, you are daydreaming. Because 4 years, getting to 5 years now, we are still playing ping-pong game. And CPD militants tell you the head of state is still organizing another one to come. For where? It is a dream. In fact, never you believe on that. The crisis now cannot be solved if for the Mukete spoke. Nothing is changing. Natumi spoke, and nothing is changing. Wilbur spoke, nothing is changing. Senator Kmer spoke, nothing has changed. Nigel Frundi spoke, nothing has changed. In fact, Yaoundé, they have cotton ball in their ears. They will not hear anybody so long as this thing will work against their interest. That's what I've said. Because Natumi has spoken, Fonviv Koede spoke, and nobody took it serious. If you want to talk about coming out of this quagmire, a third party is required. If anybody goes on air and deceive you that Yaoundé regime will one day call a joining dialogue, it's not this Yaoundé that I know, unless it's Yaoundé 2 that's coming from Mars, another planet. If it's this one that I know, R2G, we are wasting our time, Mr. Liu.
Okay, Christian Njok, le sénateur qui est parti, c'est quelqu'un qui a vécu, il connaît l'histoire telle que c'est passé. Est-ce qu'il y a lieu de s'inquiéter qu'il soit parti pendant que la crise n'a pas été résolue?
Effectivement, c'est par là où je suis entré, pour dire on a comme un goût d'inachevé. Effectivement, qu'un témoin de l'histoire, lui qui a vécu, n'est-ce pas, les deux régimes, à travers son ouvrage, je voudrais rassurer Barista que moi j'ai lu son livre, mon Odyssée. Effectivement, dans ce livre, il ne nous dit pas ce qui s'est effectivement passé. On a comme un goût d'inachevé. C'est pour ça qu'on dit que notre histoire, on ne la connaît pas. C'est vrai que par la suite, il convoque un peu la logique de savoir la guerre identitaire et autres, mais on n'en est pas à ce niveau aujourd'hui. Donc, c'est une bibliothèque qui est partie, et j'espère qu'il a vraiment laissé ses mémoires, ou ses véritables mémoires, quelque part, et qu'on va les publier pour qu'on ait enfin la vérité. Parce que c'est un témoin privilégié de l'histoire, de ce qui s'est passé le 4 mars 1916, du 4 mars 1916, n'est-ce pas, à 1972. Quand j'ai suivi sa confession au niveau du Sénat, je me suis dit, enfin, peut-être ce monsieur va nous dire la vérité. Mais au fond, il est resté en lui-même. C'est pour ça que vous avez vu quelque part, il dit oui. on est témoin de ce qui s'est passé, effectivement, témoin également de la destruction de ce régime de Yaoundé, parce que n'oubliez pas que c'est un militant de ce parti-là. Donc, du coup, on a comme un pincement au cœur pour se dire, si ces vieux au moins auraient pu nous dire la vérité, comme le cardinal Christian Toumi le faisait un peu en son temps, mais tous ces vieux sont en train de partir. Apparemment, d'après certaines prédictions, d'autres vont partir aussi dans quelques jours. C'est pour ça que j'ai convoqué ici tout à l'heure la transition générationnelle naturelle. Ils vont partir, mais qu'ils nous disent au moins la vérité, qu'ils ne nous laissent pas dans cet imbroglio, dans cette crise qu'on est en train de vivre depuis autant d'années. Cette crise identitaire, cette crise historique, elle a assez duré. Il faut qu'on passe. C'est pour ça que nous, au niveau du Parti Cameroun pour la réconciliation nationale, on s'est dit, d'accord, s'ils ne veulent donc pas nous dire la vérité, ce qui s'est passé, il faut qu'on passe à autre chose. Passer à autre chose, c'est changer de régime, c'est changer effectivement la forme de l'État. On n'aura plus un État anglophone ni francophone. On a proposé ce qu'on appelle le fédéralisme communautaire ou le régionalisme identitaire. Parce qu'on est là en train de se bagarrer dans une langue qui ne sait pas anglophone et francophone, alors qu'on a une même culture, une même tradition, les mêmes valeurs, nous sommes le même pays. Et imposer une langue nationale à laquelle on s'identifierait. Et on sortira définitivement de cette histoire. Parce que tant que le président Paul Biya, lui qui est là, ils sont peut-être encore 2 ou 3 qui sont les témoins de l'histoire. Comment on appelle ça? Le ministre Abo Machoui, qui est encore vivant, le président Paul Biya lui-même. Et j'ai peur. Benjamin Itoué, voilà. Qui sont, et j'ai peur. Et peut-être le ministre Achidi Achou, qui sont encore là. Donc, s'ils ne veulent pas nous dire la vérité avant de partir, parce qu'ils vont partir, forcément. Donc, eux, on a peur de ce qui va se passer. Donc voilà autant d'éléments qu'on attend. Nous on attend au moins que cette bibliothèque, à cet âge, parce qu'effectivement à 100 ans, quand il a parlé au Sénat, on s'est dit d'accord, c'est sûr que ce monsieur va nous donner la solution. Mais malheureusement, après avoir parlé, il n'a rien fait.
Mais donner la solution, il devait... Comment est-ce qu'il devait donner la solution? Non,
donner la solution, c'est de dire la vérité. Je ne vais pas dire qu'il a menti. C'est de dire effectivement ce qu'il s'est passé. Il dit bien sous réserve de son âge. Nous qui avons des grands-pères de cet âge à la maison, on sait ce que c'est. C'est de dire voici ce qui s'est passé. Voici là où on a fauté. Et voici la solution. Parce qu'il sait effectivement, lui il est témoin. Et il fait partie des gens qui causaient le président de la République. Est-ce qu'il a besoin de passer au Sénat? On dit ceci. Ça veut dire que par là, le président de la République dit résoudre cette crise définitivement ou pas, ou ces gars souffrent de ça ou ça. Au grand dialogue, on les a suivis un peu, on en est arrivé. Mais quand il nous parlait même du fédéralisme, il ne nous donnait pas un contenu réel. De quel type de fédéralisme? Parce qu'il nous ramenait encore au fédéralisme de 61 à 72, c'est-à-dire le Cameroun francophone et le Cameroun anglophone. Aujourd'hui, tant qu'on aura toujours cette dichotomie, vraiment ça ne va pas évoluer. Nous on dit qu'il faut dépasser cette étape et aller.
Yes, Dr. Nick is gone, Cardinal Toumi is gone. You see that you still carry what the... do you really think that this generation that is going, is it enough to prepare a link of those who can carry what they have?
How do you prepare the link? To prepare the link is to speak truth to your children so that they know what to do. It's about that truth, and you don't need it's not heavy. You don't need how do I put it? I don't know. It's just the truth. And what is the truth?
That's handing down.
Yeah, just speak that truth. When you speak that truth, then everything is okay. And then when people align with that truth, it's okay. That's why I would tell Christian here that, he with Cabral Libri, they're trying to cook up something, some kind of other kind of federalism, which we don't understand. That's being very tricky. Ça ne va pas marcher. Je te le dis. On a l'état de West Cameroun et on a l'état de East Cameroun et ça restera comme ça. D'ailleurs, le problème du Cameroun, ce n'est pas un problème de langue. C'est le problème de marginalisation des anglophones. Si on ne les marginalisait pas, il ne devait pas y avoir problème. Vous voyez? So the problem in Cameroun
is... Il faut dépasser ça une fois.
On dépasse en enlevant cette marginalisation là. It's marginalization that has caused the problem. It's nothing else. Ce n'est pas le fait que l'autre parle la langue française et l'autre parle la langue anglaise. C'est seulement que on dit que ceux-là qui parlent la langue anglaise, on les écrase, c'est tout. Donc, enlever cet esprit d'écraser, oui, d'écraser là.
Moi, je suis même dans la logique de dire, ces deux langues, c'est langue de qui? C'est langue du colon, non?
Laisse-moi
c'est le marquage colonial. Il faut finir avec la colonisation.
Non, on va parler l'Allemagne. On va parler l'Allemagne, ça va aller. Bon, parce que on ne peut pas faire avec les langues nationales, on va faire les autres, mais les mathématiques et la science dont on a besoin, on ne pourra pas faire dans ta langue. Mais sinon, the Anglophone problem has got nothing to do with English and French, but it's a symptom, like Pa was complaining in Senate, that, you know, because some people want to marginalize you, you know, they don't speak in a language that you understand, just to show you how inferior you are. They try to make you swallow their shit. So that is the problem. But in reality, it's a problem of a marginalization of a people. And when we, like, I have to keep repeating it, when you say Anglophone, you don't mean someone who speaks English. You are referring to those people whose genetic material originate wholly or in part from that territory defined as West Cameroon or Southern Cameroon. That's what the Anglophone is. And so it's the marginalization of these people that has created the problems. And when you step back from that marginalization play, then you see what is hiding behind the curtain is economics, is development, and most of these things. And like we have said before, it has something to do with education. So it's a big package, and just changing the language is not what will solve the problem. There was something else I wanted to say. I don't know whether it's gone out of my mind, but watch my lips. It is about truth and love. And the cardinal before going has taught us the truth and has taught us love. So we have to drop our egos and then do what is right, what is just, what is good, and the problem will be solved. To solve this problem, yeah, we might need a third party. There will be a dialogue with a third party, carte sur la table, and then we'll sit, whether we sit here or out of the country, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that we have only this one opportunity to solve the problems. Okay. There will be dialogue, there will be reconciliation, and there will be unity. Okay,
the UCB came to the assistance of some persons out here in the nation's economic capital. That was on Saturday. Let's take a listen to what the UCB did out there with Dolly Ngonde.
Patriotism is a key value of the KGB brand, and solidarity is one of its pillars. It is within this week that the solidarity effort towards the populations of the troubled areas of the northwest, east, far north, and southwest regions of the country continues to gain momentum. The solidarity campaign, led by Fuatola Kaji Defoso Foundation in partnership with the Network for the Fight Against Hunger, first stopped in the east region of the country, where over 100 families have benefited from these freewill donations, basically comprised of foodstuff and other household sanitary equipment such as bags of rice, flour, vegetable cooking oil, spaghetti, cartons of sardines, washing bowls, soft drinks, and lots more. Having met the delights of their family needs, some of the beneficiaries now appreciate the kind gesture with hearts filled with joy.
They have done a wonderful thing, because since I came here, I've been struggling frying pop-off before sending these children to school. I'm very, very thankful to them.
Nous tenons à remercier la Fondation Kaji Defoso de nous avoir permis d'entrer en possession de ces dons. Vraiment, nous disons longue vie à cette fondation, que cette fondation continue dans la même lancée.
There was no way for me. My family is so much that I am unable to feed them. I thank you people.
From the region of the rising sun, the caravan further moved to Yaoundé and then Douala, with over 135 internally displaced families in each of these cities benefiting from the donations. Using the same distribution mechanism, the beneficiaries sincerely thanked the donors for the gifts, which are intended to meet up with their immediate needs.
I'm very, very happy today because Kaji and the NGO Refila, they have really assisted us in many ways, the IDPs. I am a host of 12 IDPs. So what I have seen here today, I don't know, I feel like crying. What the Kaji has done together with the Lufa, I don't even know what to say. Then that God is going to reward them. I'm just so overwhelmed.
I think it's a wonderful gesture to think of these displaced persons. The assistance they are giving to them is going to help some of us that we have been keeping them.
We thank him for a lot for remembering us for IDP that we are suffering about them. So we thank them very well. So what they have done to us, we are very happy.
Life has really been tough and hard, and I really appreciate this because it will help a lot of us, and at least it will reduce down some stress from our parents.
I'm very, very grateful that God should continue bless you people, bless what your people are doing.
The Solidarity Train, which is on its 5th tour, continues to run. Brilufa, a partner of this campaign, is satisfied with the progress of the program.
We've been to several other locations, so Douala is like the 5th stop of this Solidarity project. In all these locations, we target 135 households. So if we take 135 per household in Chang, in Suza, in Yaoundé, in Betwa, and here in Douala, and then multiply maybe by 6, you imagine the number of people that we have impacted so far through this project. We can estimate in thousands.
Still during the Solidarity Caravan, the leaders of the Kaji group informed the populations that this support scheme won't just end here, but lasting through trainings in various fields in a bid to promote entrepreneurship and the education of the young. Kaji Beer, you mean so much to us.
Okay, Dolingonde reporting there. A very kind gesture to the population by the Kaji, the Futsu Foundation. We hope that many other corporations are going to emulate what the Kaji Foundation is doing, especially for our internally displaced persons, people living in difficulties. We're going to take this short break. When we come back, we discuss our second topic for tonight. Please welcome back. You are watching Prime on my Media Prime. We this time around are going to be talking about the demise of the former general manager of CRTV, Professor Gervais Mendozi, who actually animated this nation through his choir called La Voix du Cénacle. Most of us dance to the rhythm sounds of that angelic choir. Unfortunately, he left this world in very, very disturbing conditions, especially after the video of his situation at in prison went viral. Many persons were asking what went wrong. Is this how those who are facing health challenges in prison go through? We are going to be discussing this. I start with you, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. I would like to quote Le Messager that says Ilon Tue. Who is this Ilon Tue? Is this not too hard?
Well, I think it is too hard, and these are the facts. He probably committed a crime or not, I don't know, and then he was in prison, and then he was sick, and then he died. Okay, but he committed a crime, and I think it was an economic crime, and that many like him are in prison and they commit these crimes and we never take the money back. So we've not seen where the money has been taken back and where it's gone to and so on. So there's something that is going on there that we don't understand. Now that said, it doesn't matter what someone has done. If they are sick, they should be in hospital. All right, and we don't have to leave them until they get they are coughing their last breath. Because I heard Charles Ndongo saying on one of his clips that the man died in the president's ambulance. The president's ambulance. Watch my lips. The president's ambulance is not a hospital. No, the president's ambulance is not a hospital. He's supposed to have been in hospital, not at the last moment, but when you are sick. I think it's time for me to say that we have to upgrade the quality of health care in all our prisons, and prisoners have a right to quality health care. Prisoners have a right to a decent life, and prisoners are human beings. I'm saying so, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even if even if there's a prisoner on death row and you are going to kill him tomorrow, if he's sick today, you have an obligation to give him the best of medical treatment and to treat him like a human being. I've seen a couple of others, Anglophones, who have died chained to the bed in hospitals. I mean, we should be humane. Sometimes some people are so sick that even if you took up the chain and asked them to run home, they will not be able to run. And to tie them to a bed to die in those circumstances is not fair. So, Professor Mendoza, whether it doesn't matter what he did, well, if he had stolen some money, would have taken the money and put it back in the state treasury and then do something about it. And then if he was very sick, we see how we solve that. But we kept him there. He was very sick. I don't know whether he had the right treatment, but the conditions under which he dies are not very good, and we don't think that this is the way we should be dying in this nation. It's true that we don't have the best of health services even for people who are out of prison, but I think if we learn to do things to excellence in Cameroon, we can easily upgrade our health sector. There are a lot of things we can upgrade, but there's just a lot of bad faith. Even when the president gives people money, let me say the president or the international people gives people money, like for the COVID-19, the money is stolen and the people. So there's something seriously wrong with our nation, and together we need to correct it.
Yes, we need to correct it. Some people think that he was unfairly treated, knowing fully well that we've seen cases of other persons who were in prison, like Yves Michel Foto. When the health situation got so bad, he was taken out of the country. Former Prime Minister Nfon, in the shape was not also too good. He was taken out of the country. Why did
the Minister of Economy?
Yes, he left for treatment in France, and then he went over to the United States. Where
Mr. Leo, you see, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. We cannot have a system of triple standards. One person is ill, you ferry him out of the country. Another one is ill, you allow him to die in chains. Another one is ill, you allow him to die in the president's ambulance. No, sir. These people should be serious. You see, there is something basically wrong with the penitentiary system and the government policy when it comes to the prisons. You see, a prison is not a hospital facility. Some people make this mistake. Some administrators in government make this mistake by saying that the prisons have hospital facilities. They have doctors. Sorry, a prison is not a hospital. A prison is a place where people are deprived of their liberty. Give to the prison is real nature. It is not a hospital. If an inmate is ill, he is supposed to be taken to a competent medical facility where he will be treated as my good friend Dr. Ngwanyam said. He has to be given good treatment. We have to know that these are human beings. They are not dogs, they are not pigs. They shouldn't be allowed to die, because what we see of this professor, excuse me, but I think there was negligence that makes me feel that he was allowed to die. And I think that is not fair, because some people even said that there was presidential pardon. I saw somewhere that some messages circulating that there was presidential pardon. Please, we should not fool ourselves. You cannot talk of presidential pardon for a person who was convicted. He appealed. If the information I get is correct, he appealed, and he was awaiting the trial of his appeal case. Now he dies in that while waiting. You cannot say that somebody whose appeal is pending can be granted presidential pardon. It does not exist. Pardon is granted to people whose matters have been finally determined, whose matters are res judicata. You cannot talk of presidential pardon for a man whose appeal is pending. That is one thing. The other one, in a case like this one, the president could halt prosecution. They could stop the prosecution. That was the possibility for him to be released. Like we have seen in the case of Lydian Yeneyu, where prosecution was halted. The case of, there are so many cases where they stop prosecution. Yes, you see, you can do that. But not presidential pardon. So I think there is something basically wrong here. We have people who don't care about the lives of others, I don't know what they gain when they see prisoners, inmates dying chained to a bed. What do they gain? The country at best loses its image when the world sees that in Cameroon, prisoners die chained to the bed. When they see that a man who has served the nation as Director General twice of the state's TV corporation dies in a prison facility, whereas what he was suffering from could be treated in the country. He was not, I mean, they didn't carry him to the best hospital. They didn't carry, they could take him to the best hospital, put soldiers around him.
He was in the president's ambulance.
That's what we hear. I don't know whether the president's ambulance is the best hospital in this country.
Maybe they were. Maybe they were moving him to the best hospital.
Why would you carry a Noni Ephraim out of the country and leave Mendoza to die? No, I don't accept. You take Imeshe out. You take what is Menye? What is the difference between those ones and Mendoza? No, sir. What is good for the goose, I think, should be good for the gander.
Okay, Sumbele Kelvin writing from Kongsamba says, good evening, Mr. Leo. Quite interesting as usual. Dr. Nick Fa, Elvis, and Senior Barrister Shu are three Southern Cameroonians that can really represent the Anglophones in any dialogue. I wish them long life, and I know their voices are being heard in Yaoundé. Sumbele Kelvin writing from Kongsamba. They say, Fa Elvis Tayon, you could engage in a dialogue process. Meanwhile, you are here saying that persons have to come from out of the country. They say you too, yes, senior barrister. They say you could do it.
Why not?
Yeah, but why not? Why do we think that he has to come?
No, we are talking of a mediator, sir. No,
yeah, but why can't you play the mediating? Are you a partisan? Are you a partisan to the conflict?
All right, thank you. Yeah, I understand you, sir. Yes.
Yeah, because you have what they call the coalition for dialogue and negotiation. Are you saying that if both parties say
if you give me the opportunity, on Wednesday, I can actually serve as a mediator? Yes.
On Wednesday, we are coming back to what we discussed last week. We hope that you are going to be there. We know that Ramadan starts tomorrow, but we pray that Allah gives much energy for you to be here on Wednesday. Now, what was so peculiar with Professor Gervais Mendoza's crime that he would be allowed to die?
Misappropriation of public funds.
Yeah, but what was unique? What was unique in his case?
Well, I want to liken his case with that of the former general of FECOM, Ondongdong. When you look at the manner in which his case is unfolding, there were some revelations linked to the presidency in terms of disbursement of budget, which was not accepted during the hearing, which we cannot tell if he spoke his mind or it was just a setup. We don't want to get detail into that. But now you know the main issue that I got worried is this. Mendoza, among all those who were accused of embezzlement, stands as the few persons who dropped in close to 60% of the money he was accused of. I mean 60%. First, Yaoundé regime, you have not told me whether 60% he dropped has gone to. Just like the former Minister of Public Works, who gave all and sent a receipt to the Treasury. He's still incarcerated in detention now. But he has paid all the one he was accused of. Maybe. Now, I'm saying maybe because he himself did the screenshotting of the receipt, of the Treasury receipt. So, what are we saying here? The peculiarity of Mendoza's own case is for the fact that, first, he had done all he could by attempting to pay part of it, which we don't even know how it was. Now, Mr. Leo, you understand that when Sir Elif Johnson took over power, what was her modus operandi? For those ministers who were, during the period of Chancellor and the rest, caught with corruption, the first thing she did was that she put in place a mechanism. Recovered money was recycled into unprogrammed projects. At the time when they recovered, there was an emergency committee put in place. Each time they recover stolen money from a particular ex-minister, they put it into a project and it's executed because those monies normally are not in the annual budgeting of within the year, within the state budget. And so you could see that an area that school was not envisaged, because money had been recovered, that could build a school was built immediately. Cameroon does not have that system. That's why I say that most of the times you have what we call faute de gestion, as the Frenchman calls it, managerial errors, which are more at the time political. It is true, investment is there, but majority of these cases are what we call managerial errors. Probably there was budget as a general manager for you to buy office equipment, and you felt that since as there were enough chairs in a particular office, you thought that buying 2 additional cars or hillocks would be better for you to buy them so that they'll be able to go to the other areas to solve a pressing need. Now, when it comes to managerial aspects and techniques, that is already a managerial error because that budget head was not allocated for that particular hillock. It was for office chairs. There, they preferred that you buy more chairs. Better the chairs be packed in that office than for you to say that no, there were already some chairs there and all the like. So that's how you see even some mayors have gone into prison because they used budget, which is earmarked for a particular budget head, and think that since as that head is not so peculiar and there's a pressing need, they could transfer that budget head on their own without knowing that there are due procedures for you to transfer that budget head to another budget head that was not envisaged as per the specification of the budget allocation. So when we talk about this, I said most of it is political. Now, Mendoza's case becomes worrisome, just like the panelists have started here, that why is it that somebody is ferried abroad for treatment while another person is ill and is not ferried under the same condition? So you look at it critically that there is some bad faith along the line. Now, we might not be able to buy Mendoza's case because when he was eating with President Pobia, I was not there. It was his personal business with A2D. So we are only crying foul because we feel that the right of a human being has been violated. Of course, my national president, Professor Maurice Kamto, equally said that the way in which Gervais Mendoza died, which of course the party has sent condolence to the bereaved family, but he has said clearly that the manner in which he died tells you the manner in which the state does not take care of those whom he himself has fabricated. You cannot fabricate people to work in your system, and when it comes at the time for you to defend them, you instead allow them. Remember that in one of the outings of Professor Maurice Kamto, he said the way in which the prisons are tells you that it's more of a torture camp, which means the government needs to do something about the prison centers than staying quiet and things go off hand. If you look at it, the prison centers now that we have are more of torture camps and not rehabilitation centers as it is supposed to be. Okay. And so Mendoza is just part of the victim, just like we have our other militants who are there, just like we have Ayuk Tabe, Siseko and Co who are also there. And at the end of it, you ask yourself, what is really their crime? What is the raison d'etre of saying that a man is about dying and you say presidential clemency? Just like Boris has even cited, and that the matter is still in court, and then you're talking about presidential clemency and bringing out the flips in all of those kind of declarations. So if you look at it clearly, Mr. Leo, I think that the regime just gave birth to some chickens. At a point in time, is eating the chickens just like an animal or a goat or a pig will give birth to piglets and begin to eat the piglets for reasons best known to them. So a kangaroo system needs not to be trusted. All of you will go on leave, whether you like it or not. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to the wonderful cream of panelists like Dr. Nick, Mr. Fire, Mr. Kangaroo Man, and Mr. Ashu, and Christian. Thank you all for your wonderful contributions. Daisy is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Daisy. Lista Montana writing from Yaoundé says, good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. What a rich panelist. It's Lista Montana from Yaoundé. Lista, say hello to your mom. I'm sending her special greetings this evening. Now, Christian, he has raised an issue of the conditions of our prisons. Is it something to be looked into? Very disturbing. And is this also a call to those that are ministers today to also look into the prison conditions, because they may just find themselves in one of these prisons tomorrow?
Effectivement, c'est dommage, c'est triste quand on voit ce genre de choses. Il faut dire que c'est des prisons que eux-mêmes, quand ils étaient en liberté, on leur disait que ces prisons-là sont des mouroirs. Au cas de Marafa, Midou Yaya, ils ne comprenaient pas. Ils ont refusé de construire ces prisons et aujourd'hui ils vivent dans ces conditions. C'est dommage. Mais moi je voudrais m'appuyer effectivement sur la communication de la fille du professeur Gervais Mendoza que j'ai lu aujourd'hui, Malène Mvutu. Elle a effectivement réitéré ce que le messager a dit. Ils l'ont tué, papa, ils t'ont tué, ils t'ont mangé. C'est cynique, c'est sacrophage, c'est le terme qu'elle a employé. C'est-à-dire, c'est un système qui se régénère, qui mange lui-même ses propres enfants. C'est un système qui a créé ses enfants, a pris la corruption qui est endémique, qui est, n'est-ce pas, leur ADN de fonctionnement. Et une fois qu'ils sont pris, n'est-ce pas, dans cet étau, ou du moins ils sont en mal avec le boss, le grand patron, on mange certains. Le cas du professeur Gervais Mendozé, ils l'ont liquidé. C'est inhumain. C'est inhumain. Quand vous voyez les conditions dans lesquelles le professeur Gervais Mendozé faisait, ça faisait pitié. Quand vous l'avez vu, pour nous qui sommes nés dans les années 1990, c'était le personnage le plus en vue au Cameroun. À la télé, chaque jour, la CRTV, on l'appelle par exemple Canal Mendozé. Voilà. Avec Simba et tout ce qu'il voyait, on le voyait chaque jour à la télé. Du coup, c'était quasiment, comment dire, une créature du président de la République, comme dit souvent son frère Jacques Famondongo. On espère qu'il ne va pas subir aussi le même sort que celui-là. Oui, effectivement, c'est difficile, je vous assure, c'est difficile de voir ce genre de choses. Parce que même en termes, nous qui sommes quand même pour la démocratie, en termes de droits humains, la prison n'est pas un mouroir. La prison est un environnement, n'est-ce pas, de déprivation de liberté. C'est-à-dire, même quand on est en prison, on a des droits, au rang desquels le droit à la santé. Et c'est une violation, effectivement, des droits du professeur Gervais Mendozé. Si moi j'étais de la famille nucléaire du professeur Gervais Mendozé, on attaquerait ce régime. On attaquerait ces régimes parce qu'effectivement les conditions carcérales dans lesquelles, n'est-ce pas, ces populations sont, ça fait mal, ça fait pitié. Si vous êtes allé une fois en prison, allez regarder une ou deux personnes et quand vous allez voir les conditions dans lesquelles ils sont, ça fait effectivement pitié. C'est pour ça que nous, au niveau du Parti Cameroun pour la réconciliation nationale, au niveau de la réforme, n'est-ce pas, institutionnelle, on parle de réformer les prisons et au rang desquelles il faut humaniser la prison. La prison est un moment de resocialisation des populations et non, effectivement, un moment de destruction des populations, comme vous voyez. Parce que, voyez-vous, quand on veut régler les comptes dans ce régime, on t'envoie là-bas pour te détruire. Et on a comme l'impression qu'on a du 2 poids 2 mesures. Ils ont perdu leur humanité. Quel est l'humanisme qui gouverne, n'est-ce pas, ces gens? Quand vous voyez les conditions dans lesquelles le professeur Gervais Mendozé faisait, et vous avez vu les Issi-Meunier, vous avez vu leur complice, parce que le complice avait dit qu'il a les réseaux, il peut liquider les uns les autres. On l'a laissé partir. On a laissé Yves Michel Fautou entre eux dans les réseaux. Et pourquoi celui-là, on se demande bien pourquoi lui, même si ça n'absout pas effectivement c'est pourquoi il était poursuivi. Le président de la République avait effectivement la possibilité d'arrêter les poursuites judiciaires comme il a fait pour les autres. Je crois que Bariste Achoula vient de démontrer ici. On se demande pourquoi lui et pas les autres. Et donc, il faut que ce système comprenne que eux qui ont l'habitude d'opprimer les gens, d'enfermer les gens dans ce milieu carcéral, de croire qu'en t'envoyant à la prison, c'est pour te détruire, eux-mêmes, ils pourront finir là-bas, effectivement, comme le professeur Gervais Mendozé est fini. Vraiment, nous, c'est un enseignant qu'on a lu. On veut souhaiter, n'est-ce pas, que la tête de nos ancêtres lui soit légère, comme on l'a dit pour Steve Mukete, mais ce régime lui-même, voilà par quoi ils vont effectivement finir. Nous ne leur souhaitons pas, mais qu'ils comprennent que là, ils assument les conséquences de leur inconséquence managériale.
Okay. Greetings to the panelists and congratulations, Mr. Kum, for your award. My major worry about the death of these icons in the likes of Kadnatumi, Professor Gervais Mendozé, and Chief Mukete is whether they might have been able to pass down on the existing young generations their very high intellect and knowledge they carry, because we need it. Herman is writing from Douala. We are going to take a short break and discuss with some young Cameroonians. Tell us how they want to help their brothers and sisters, especially in the domain of IT. Okay, we've just been joined by Dr. Denis Kiawi is a database engineer and a cloud engineer who is going to be telling us about how they want to help young people get empowered through IT training. Good evening and welcome, Doctor.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing today?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you.
You are welcome. We also are in the company of Mr. Awa Cyprian Fang, Kiao Tech instructor, IT technician. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm so grateful to be part of this today.
Okay. Very briefly, because we don't have so much time. Yes, is Kiao
Tech IT
Academy?
Yes.
Yes. What's it all about?
Well, the mission why we are actually here today is to sensitize young Cameroonians on the importance of looking at other opportunities that exist out there, especially in the field of database administration. So, Tech IT Academy is a training institution founded in 2016 in the United States, in Houston, Texas, and our main goal is actually how we can empower young individuals to understand that there's greater opportunity out there, especially in a country like Cameroon that is evolving. So that's basically what we are. We are all about youth empowerment through education, and the route that we've chosen is actually database administration and cloud computing.
Yes, we are talking about IT. You have the impression that Cameroonian youths have not embraced IT enough, and that there are so many opportunities that are not being exploited already.
Yes, of course, that is true. You know, statistics have revealed that Cameroon is still very backward when it comes to the domain of information and communication technology.
Okay.
I think we are still trying to embrace the digital economy, but we still have a long way to go. From the direction which we're talking from, I think that there is a lot that we can offer, you know, Cameroonians as a whole, especially the youth, of course, to try to get things to the next level. Remember, there are a lot of things that we do in Cameroon that takes a lot of time, a lot of queuing, a lot of time-consuming activities. We can always break down all of this. It's possible to do it. I think that from the direction of Tech Academy, if we all embrace this and change this mindset, because what we stand for is a change of mindset. That is our goal. We intend to change the mindset of Cameroonians, the young Cameroonians as well as the older ones, so that we can try to see how the nation can forge ahead in a digital manner.
You want to change the mindset, but what are the opportunities out there in IT? Is IT the definite future for our generation?
Definitely. I mean, we all know that IT is especially the field that we're in. IT is very broad, but the field that we're in, data, is the new oil. There's been a rapid explosion in data, and every single human being that has an iPhone or an Android phone right now has a digital footprint. The data keeps improving, increasing, and we need people to be able to manage that. Now, like you just mentioned here, in Cameroon, we have a lot of manual work, which takes a lot of time, takes a lot of input, but with incoming of digitalization, there's a lot of opportunity that can be created, job opportunity that can be created. We want youth to look into this, to understand that there are so many opportunities out there that you can actually embrace if you learn this field. And you are not only bound within the national borders. Cameroonians can have jobs all over the world. And looking at the current pandemic right now, the coronavirus pandemic, it has actually proven to us that you need to look for jobs or get into fields that give you an opportunity to work anywhere around the world. From home. And this is exactly what this is offering you. We're giving you the opportunity where you can actually look for opportunity out of the national border and be able to work from home, make decent income, as well as create employment for yourself. And that's what we're really out for. How can we empower youths so that they understand that you don't only go to school because you want someone to hire you, you're going to school because you can do something out of that. And all we do is empowerment, actually through hands-on training to make sure that you understand what you're doing.
Hands-on training to understand what you are doing. Now, I want to ask you, I want us to get practical. Young Cameroonians are watching us, and you say there are opportunities out there, especially in IT. Practically, what is there for a young person? Just give examples there. How a young person in Cameroon would use IT to better themselves.
Okay, that's a good one. Of course, I'd like to give an example starting from myself.
Okay.
Yeah, because I get food on my table, you know, thanks to ID, and you know, I'm so grateful with it. Well, number one, you, like just as my boss has mentioned, you can stay at home actually in Cameroon and work even in the US. Now, a lot of Cameroonians that I know are based in Cameroon and working in the US virtually and other countries in the world. Also, another thing that you can do, of course, is do consultancy. You know, in what you have trained yourself for, you can do consultancy, and that's going to earn you a living as well.
We are talking information communication technology. What are we talking about? You use the iPhone, you use your laptop to access the world? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, let me jump in a little bit on that, because when we talk about IT, it's so broad, right? We always try to advise young individuals to understand that you can't just go in there. You need to have some kind of counseling for someone to really tell you what is important for you to start. And once you get in there, you can actually go further. Now we're starting up with a very basic thing, which is database administration, especially Microsoft, which it's the most renowned database administration software companies out there. So your phone, you have a phone, you have an account, you have an email, all that data, once you have a phone, you have contact information on your phone, you want to keep that. You don't want to lose it. You don't want to change your phone and lose that information. So when you want to make sure that when that happens, that information is kept safe. Now look at it in terms of the bank. If the bank loses all their customer data, the bank is out of business. Or look at any other company that has data. That it's really where everything starts up from. And then from there, other careers that start developing, like database analysts, you have developers, you have app application analysts, and so all those kinds of things that are developing as a result of tapping into a data, which is what we're really talking about today.
Okay, that is what we are talking about today. Now, Mr. Awasipren Fang, we are talking about young people using information communication technology positively. Is it that we don't have the skills, or it is that it is not well channeled? Because we have lots and lots of young people using laptops today to do what is commonly called scamming now. Is it also to tell them that, please come, we want to direct you to using it positively rather than doing the scamming? We want to let you know how to get a job in Dubai from Cameroon, from that same room where you used to communicate with the guys out there. We want you to stay in your room and get a job in maybe Mexico, in Texas, in Canada, from wherever you are, and be able to relate with the world.
Yes, of course. Just as you've mentioned, and of course that's very possible. It is the manner in which we are using these tools that are open to us. Now, a lot of young people have computers, they have internet, they have all these things at their disposal, but what they end up doing with it is that they use it for the wrong purposes. Now, it's just for someone to fine-tune, someone to refine your ideas on what you can do with it, to change your mindset on what you can do with it, and to put you on the right track. And that is where KiawiTech Academy stands or comes from, to try to put the right ideas in the minds of young Cameroonians and the world at large. Actually, all this, just like he has mentioned, IT is very vast, you know. Of course, you need to be able to point out what you will be able to do excellently and what you can do at best.
Okay, so young people listen. You are there to empower the youth through IT training and certification, a window to global economy. Now, I see here is KiawiTech IT Academy. Where is it?
So it's headquartered in Houston, Texas. That's where we have a branch, upcoming branch here in Cameroon, in Buya. But for now, we are operating purely virtual. So all our classes are offered through Zoom platform, where you can take it anywhere around the world. We have a website also where we share all the information that we've been giving you here today. You can look it up on our website on www.kiawitech.com. It's KIAWITECH.com. You can look it up, and that's where we are. And we just feel that this is the time for us to bring this in Cameroon, and also bring the success story that we've had in the US back to the people here in Cameroon.
You're telling me that you guys are not based here? You're coming from out of
I'm not. He's based here. I am based in the United States.
Okay.
So we have our own virtual classroom that takes place here via Zoom platform. Like I was saying, coronavirus showed us that virtual learning is more normal. It's important. So he's our facilitator here in Cameroon. We also teach. We have it's a group of dedicated young guys that are teaching also virtually as well as here on the ground.
Where are you?
I'm based in Douala.
Okay, you're here in Douala.
Yeah.
Okay, please, if you want to get to them, please just write to me after the program. I'll be able to connect you to them, and hopefully we have more time to discuss on this, because these are the things that we want. There is need for a paradigm shift in the way we look at things. That is what Dr. Nick has been doing severally. I'm sure you.
That's right.
Yes.
Professional education is very important. Very important. Yeah. And ICT is very, very important for our development. It's
okay. So I hope that we are going to have opportunity to have them here really explain more on how they can help young people out there. This is the dream. We are talking about professionalization. This is what we are looking forward to. That is why they are here this evening. We want to say thank you, Dr. Dennis, for coming.
Thank you.
And also to you, Mr. Awa. Thank you for coming. We hope that we are going to have another opportunity to talk more than what we've just done today. And if you watched them today and you think that you have skills or you're interested in IT, you want them to assist you accomplish your goal, please let us know. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, we conclude our program for this evening. Yes. Okay, you're watching a Prime Hour on My Media Prime. We are going to be concluding. Dr. Nick, the question I had for you is that when we look at what has happened to Professor Gervais Mendoza, many persons are angered, especially people from his area. They think that he was allowed to die when persons from other regions and other communities were given better treatment. Is this also an opportunity for persons to, or for the nation to heal itself from these internal hate, wranglings, tensions?
Yeah, that's right. Let's, if we think that, of course, you mentioned a couple of people who had better treatment than Professor Mendoza.
Il est du sud-ouest, on lui a laissé partir se soigner. Lui, il est de l'ouest. Mais notre frère, nous...
No, I mean, if we are looking just at that little thing, then we get it all wrong, because if you were to look at the general pool, the people from the northwest, southwest, and west will tell you that they are marginalized. People from the north will tell you that they are marginalized.
Yeah, is that not the more reason why there is need for reconciliation?
Yeah, that's right. You know, let's say it once and for all that there is poor governance and there's bad governance in the nation. That is what has killed the nation. There's bad governance. We cannot be jerry picking this one, picking that one. No, generally. If you have a community where the common man cannot survive, there's a problem. It's about, you measure it with the ruler of the common man. If the common man can survive, that's great. But if we are going to be picking people because this one is great, this one has this title, this one is that, and dealing on those, then it will not work. We should create systems that work for everybody. And like you were saying, there's a great dialogue that is coming. There's going to be reconciliation. and there will be unity, and most of these things will be corrected. And like I have said before, the operating system of the nation is going to change, the mindset will change, and Cameroon will be a lot better. Thank you.
Okay. Stephen Mwambo watching us from Boya. I would like Senior Barrister to react to what Stephen says. Stephen Mwambo says that, Mr. Liu, I'm saddened to hear Cameroonians debating about the death of Mendo. Frankly, this man needs no pity. He embezzled billions. May I remind you that 1 billion pays 540 primary school teachers every month for 1 year. That is money that one person embezzled, and people like Fa and the barrister who insult the regime every day are defending or criticizing how he was treated. Actually, Mendo and all who have embezzled supposed to be executed.
Thank you, sir. I think he's talking about Korean law or Chinese law, not Cameroonian law, because misappropriation of public funds in this country is not punishable by death sentence. And so long as, except I'm mistaken, Professor Mendo was not serving a death sentence. So what has happened to this professor is just a tip of the iceberg of the problem, the numerous problems we have in our prisons. So like Dr. Nick was saying, those prisons need to be humanized. There are so many problems. You take the one of detaining people without giving them the possibility of meeting their families. That this is really horrible. You take a man who is sexually active, put him in prison for 10 years, he doesn't meet with his wife, he comes out a homosexual. Then you start crying that there are homosexuals in town. You are the ones creating them. You are the person creating these homosexuals. You take people, lock them up. They don't they pick diseases there. They don't have any chance of getting treatment. If you don't have money to pay to be taken out, you die there. You go to the prison and see the type of diseases that are there. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, what are the lessons to take out of the conditions under which he died?
Well, the lessons are very clear.
That we should not even dream or do anything that could take us there?
No, the lessons, for that one, anybody can go there because the state has no particular parameter of dragging people to prison. to prison.
Okay.
I'm talking like this. I know they have been. It has been their wish that I should be in their jails. I know very well. Yaude regime, I know you very well. I know your work. I know what some of you are planning. Now, that's not the issue here. If you lock me up, some other people will talk. So don't even bother about that. I'm already moving. Some people call it caca. So don't bother even about that. Now, the main issue here is that from Mendoza's situation, it tells you that one, Yaoundé regime has no permanent friend. All those CPDM songbirds, singers, who sing song every day, know that any moment from that, people like Mbongo could be there, Almighty, Marafa Miria could be there, and now Mendoza and the rest. I think that you cannot be you cannot be an exception. If I go to prison on opposition, somebody will not be strange to me. But for you, it will be very, very strange to you with a cannibal where you find yourself. Now, another point we have to learn is that with the current situation we have, it means that the state has no mercy when it means to track you down. It means the state has no mercy when it means to track you down. If we put all of these together, I'm even surprised that even the daughter of Mendoza is taking it even lightly. If it was my own father, I would not be talking grammar, that light grammar as she was talking. It means sometimes all of them too, I don't know how they are made out of. Maybe fowl hearts and other chicken hearts. But my father cannot die in that condition, and I'm talking lightly and writing as if I'm pampering the regime. It doesn't move like that. So, in a nutshell, many things we have to learn many things that if you work for the regime, a system that is dictatorial, don't ever think that you are the best, because at any time, your best can become the worst for the regime. Once they just think that something is wrong with your operations, of course you are gone. And so when I see some people who go out and they think that they are on. Now, somebody wrote quite that we are pampering or we are talking well about Mendoza. It is in comparative terms. We are talking this in comparative terms. We are not saying that his being there was good or is not supposed to be there or this and this. We are talking it in comparative terms compared to others who have equally been whisked out of the country, whereas he himself was not in that same dimension. Of course, we have not been able to get into his real files, as some people say, embezzlement or the like. But we don't know, as I said earlier, in my own comments here, that the real problem between Mendoza and the government is best known by two of them. Well, our only problem is the outer aspect of his health situation. Okay, but he knows where his problem lies. I think that we have to really talk about that. And Mr. Leo, just running up, the Yaoundé regime we're talking about here, is a regime that is not afraid to anybody. If the Yahweh regime can eat its own piglets, it means that even we ourselves talking here, we are not safe. But we will talk. Yaoundé, we will talk.
Okay. Now let us take a listen to Tiku Felix from Boya react to this.
Mr. Leo, like I always say, who you dine with in life is far more important than who you look up to for empowerment and recognition. Whoever takes you up in life, in whatever aspect, decides when you come down. Professor Mendoza was a great man. I never got to meet him one-on-one, but I so much loved him when he was a director of CRTV, because he came up with programs that I loved so much. He served in this capacity as CRTV's Director General from 1988 to 2007. He made us football fans or football lovers enjoy the Champions League. We discovered the German League and even the French League, as well as so many film series that kept our holidays booming. A well-educated and very intelligent professor who was also very, very, very talented. Professor Gervais Mendoza was director and songwriter as well as song composer. I think of his choir, his popular choir, La Voix du Sénat, and the very popular Asimba that shook the entire nation, especially during one of the Pope's visits to Cameroon, where Professor Mendoza took the center stage. Yeah, Professor Mendoza was arrested in November 2014 after he was sacked from the cabinet as minister delegate to the ministry or to the Minister of Communication. The late professor was prosecuted for several issues, which included fraudulent transport allowances amounting to about 37 to 39 million francs CFA and other television tax money. Well, my question is, who is that person who is not an embezzler in that same cabinet? Can we actually boast that there is one person in that same cabinet in which he was arrested that is not an embezzler? Well, that's not for us to judge. I want to say sending a thief to go arrest another thief doesn't change the thief in you. A thief knows he's a thief even when he wasn't, or even when he was sent to arrest another one. He actually served this nation as a lecturer and as an administrator. He was arrested, but not for a case like a murder case. He was arrested for embezzlement. Well, Mendoza had served his jail term and was still serving it peacefully until his health started deteriorating. I think with the capacity with which he has served this nation, he deserved to have been given a good treatment with regards to his health issue. Well, we live in a nation or in a world where those who kill using the pen attempt righteous, while those who fight for their rights with guns attempt whatever. Mendoza was always in church, but that he loves God so much could be determined by God himself, because serving a jail sentence means you are a criminal, but only you and your God knows when you settle your issue with him, no matter where. Again, his death is a lesson for us all. Who do you dine with? I think it's a lesson that we have to take along.
Okay, thank you very much, Tiku Felix, coming in there from Boya. A lesson to take?
Yes, I think life is very, very easy. It's just that we all complicate it. It's very, very easy. It's about truth. It's about love. It's about common good. So when you are given a post of responsibility, it's not for you and your family. It's for you to be able to work in a manner that you serve everybody. And sometimes some people would retain favors for their tribes, for their family, for things like that. And that's the way Cameroon has been going, you know. If you look at concours, you look at everything, nothing seems to work because the whole thing is crumbling because we don't work according to principles. And I think if there's anything I should say that we should learn to work according to principles in this nation, and that when you have a post of responsibility, it's not your private business. And even when it's your private business, it is God that has given you to be able to use that opportunity to help other people, and therefore you should not do anything that will put you into difficulties in the first place. So let's say it again. It's about truth, it's about love, it's about respect, it's about merit, it's about common good. When these things are not there, you're into a lot of trouble. It doesn't matter what else you have done that might be shining, like the COVID. You see people when, oh, COVID, but they're stealing. That's not correct.
Okay, we want to call it quit for this evening. Senior Barrister, we say thank you for coming.
Thank you. I feel a type because you see, many Cameroonians cry out that Mr. Biya wants to appoint his son president. But when Chief Mukete appoints his son chief, nobody talks because you see, this is in violation of the chieftaincy law. And just as we cannot accept that the president appoint his own son president, this what the late chief did is not correct. We should not close our eyes to it. I think it has to be said.
Okay. We also want to thank you, Evis Tayon, for coming.
Yes, thanks very much, and greetings to the people of the Northwest region, where I'm just coming from them, caught in between gunfiring around Mbengui Road, also caught the same time in Bali Road, which has not been also easy, and with several attacks coming up, and yet a government minister told us that they have won the war. Which war they have won, I'm not understanding, because insecurity I witnessed while coming from Bamenda is still another cause for concern. Greetings to the people of Mundemba, as we shall be with them in the weeks ahead, or a couple of days ahead, for one or two other things, just to take a look at how the ground is faring.
Okay, we want to thank you to Dr. Nick for coming.
I would like to end on the same note that I started with, to bring to the attention of every Cameroonian and African that COVID is real. COVID is killing, and we ought to be very careful.
Okay.
Take your barrier methods very seriously, and especially if you're having a cough, a cold, a fever, and so on, stay at home. Don't go mixing with the rest of the population.
Okay.
And the vaccines, like the Sino vaccine, is great, and those vaccines, we should take them.
Okay, we want to thank you all for watching the program this evening. On Wednesday, we are going to be continuing with what we started discussing here on Thursday, which has to do with the letter of the members of the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation to the U.S. Secretary of State, calling for the U.S. to push for an end to the crisis going on in the Southwest and Northwest regions. We are also going to be looking at it from the perspective of whether the fighting ongoing for separation is synonymous to the Anglophone problem. Is that what the Anglophone problem is all about? We also want to say that tomorrow, as tradition demands on this program, we are going to be looking at issues of relationship and marriage. We want to thank you all who took time off to watch the program. We thank you, Desmond and Eli and Noel and Bertrand, and also to you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, supervising the work we do out here. We want to say also that we are extremely thankful to you all who are watching the program. You inspire us and give us the courage to be able to win this award that was given to my person on Friday in Yaoundé. Tomorrow I'm going to present that award to all of us. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.